Welcome to Reddit After Hours. This is r/relationship advice, where OP catches her husband texting his friends about wanting to screw his coworker. Our first Reddit post comes from Square Efficiency 553, titled, "How do I come clean to my boyfriend of 2 years about a lie that I've kept going since 8th grade? I am aware that this is a terrible thing to do, and I will live with the guilt of it my whole life and cannot apologize enough to those affected by this. When I was starting 8th grade, I went into a completely new school district due to bullying at my old school. I still had one friend from my old school who I texted daily. We'll call her Molly. Molly and I had this idea to see how long I could convince the students at this school that I was colorblind, which I am not. And we decided that it would be easiest for me to pretend to just see in black and white, which I'm pretty sure is not a thing. So I wouldn't get stumped if people tested me. Unfortunately for me, I was quite convincing, and nobody ever called me out if they doubted me. I went on to fall out of contact with Molly because she stabbed me in the back and was then worried everyone would hate me when I came clean alone without her to defend that we had came up with it together. At this point, I had made a whole new friend group who believed me, and the entire school that knew me also knew that I was, quote, colorblind. Fast forward to meeting my now boyfriend. Nothing special, just kind of got lucky on a dating app. He was everything that I was looking for, and I couldn't have been more happy, and I still am. We have never fought in the 2 years that we've been together, apart from silly debates about SpongeBob plots and what kinds of food are better. I love him more than anything, and I want to spend my life with him. However, I don't believe I deserve that. When we started getting serious, he met my best friend since high school, and in the meeting, my color vision came up, and rather than come clean to my best friend, I decided to lie to my boyfriend, and I felt horrible about this, and I feel terrible to this day. My issue is I don't believe I can continue to go forward when there is this low hanging over the whole relationship for no reason. I feel I have done the equivalent to cheating on him by lying for our entire relationship. I know I have to come clean, and I'm going to, and hope for the best, I suppose, but I simply would like advice on how to go about it. Also, his family also believes that I'm colorblind. OP, if I were him, I don't know how I would feel when you told me that. Like, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's just like, why? Just like, why would you lie about something like so little and like meaningless as being like colorblind? Like, you're 24 years old. You should have let this joke or prank die like years ago. But in any case, OP, I hope you learned a valuable lesson here, and I hope things go well for you. Our next Reddit post comes from I Hate Weight Watchers, titled, "Saw my husband's disgusting text about a female coworker, and I don't know how to feel about it. How would you feel if your husband said that he'd eat it about another coworker?" So last night, I had gone through my husband's phone, not out of looking for something to be mad at, but just purely out of being nosy. As I'm looking through his texts between him and his friend that he works with, they keep bringing up this one coworker. His friend talked about how many guys have slept with her, and my husband responded with, quote, "wish it was me." Then his friend sent him a meme that he related to her, and my husband said, quote, "he'd still smash." Mind you, we're newly married, and this made me extremely uncomfortable. Not even sad, just angry, because regardless if the conversation was just, quote, guy talk, I don't think it's right for my husband to be saying those things about a coworker. Not only just her, but another coworker, as well as saying he'd still eat it if it smelt funny. It's kind of funny too, because he had a dream a couple of nights ago about me going through his phone and accusing him of cheating. Maybe he's psychic. I'm just lost, feeling wrong that I went through his phone, but also him saying those things. And then we have an update from OP. My update is getting lost in the comments, but talked about it. He said that he can't trust me since I looked through his phone, which is valid. He said that I started an issue over nothing because he was, quote, trolling with his friend, even though it wasn't about him finding another person attractive. It was the words used verbatim that he wishes he could have screwed a girl and that he'd still eat a girl if she smelt funny. This is what made me uncomfortable and upset. I know we as people can find others attractive and that it's fine because we're human. I do feel wrong for snooping and finding what I didn't want to find, but I'm glad because it's allowed me to create a boundary of what I want to handle. For those asking if I'd be comfortable with him going through my phone, my answer to that is I completely would be fine with it because I'm open and honest about what I say and do. Not only that, I don't say sexual things about coworkers to my friends. There's a difference in saying these things about a celebrity, random person, etc., but this was a coworker that he said these things about. That's what I'm uncomfortable with. I still feel valid in how I feel, and I will say just because there were far more disturbing things said by him and his friend that I don't necessarily want to post, I am planning on doing something to figure this out. And then OP gives one more update. Mentioned divorce once we started talking about it again, and he started saying he feels like there's a leash on him due to me not wanting him to say those quote jokes. Once I mentioned divorced, he's been blowing up my phone, saying he'll be a good husband and stop saying those things, saying that he was wrong for those things, calling my mom up and calling his mom up, but I'm not budging because why make those jokes in the first place? I don't think he believed how serious I was about being upset until he started saying that he feels like he's on a leash. Our next Reddit post comes from Throwaway Tsukimi Road, titled, "My father-in-law led a smear campaign against me and came between me and my wife. I'm lost. How do I forge going forward?" So my wife and I aren't in a good place. It's not a fun feeling. I feel context is important here. We're college sweethearts married for 6 years and have a daughter who's 4. Our constant hurdle is family. It's like having to validate our relationship. I always thought that my wife was worth it though. I haven't felt for anyone else the way I do about her. My wife's family is very old school. They're conservative in their beliefs and values, and my father-in-law is treated as the captain and looked at as the head. My relationship with him was never smooth, not for a lack of my trying though. Him putting up with me only came after my daughter. I don't believe he's ever thought that I was good enough for his daughter. I wasn't his first choice or even in his top 5. I don't share their gated community or fancy school's background. My father-in-law always had some backhanded remark about my upbringing. During a family gathering at my in-laws last Christmas, my father-in-law's iPad went missing. He blew a fuse and accused me of stealing it. His reasoning was there was a period of time that I was alone in the house. I was actually never alone in the house though. I was helping my mother-in-law in the kitchen because people were kicking back their feet while she was slaving away for a big family. There was no reasoning with him. He called the police and actually told the officers how a real man would own up when caught, but I was never taught to be a man. Another backhanded remark. I was raised in a household of women. My father-in-law expressed once that only a man can raise a boy into a man. I spoke up for myself during his rantings. The whole situation was humiliating, but I had nothing to hide. The officers had to de-escalate and stood around until everyone went their separate ways. My father-in-law did a smear campaign on social media accusing me of theft and saying how I wasn't family. Some real vicious stuff was said. It impacted my life. I lost a job opportunity because his posts came up in the vetting process. The company was rebranding and didn't want drama associated. Essentially, I was shunned from the family. There were those who didn't agree with my father-in-law, but they wanted to stay out of it. No one wanted to cross him. I was no longer welcomed on my in-laws' property until I confessed and apologized. My wife still attended everything without me and took our daughter with her on New Year's Eve. I wanted to spend it with her and our daughter, but she chose to appease her dad and keep the tradition. During all of my father-in-law's accusations, the smear campaign, and shunning, my wife didn't lend me support in any way. She bowed her head to her dad and would tell me to just apologize. She said that I was being stubborn by refusing. It wasn't about apologizing, though. My father-in-law wanted me to beg. I'm not a prideful person, but I'm not getting on my knees and pleading for forgiveness for something that I didn't commit. My wife was only trying to keep the peace instead of being right. Once my father-in-law badmouthed me around our daughter and my wife never spoke up, she claimed that she didn't hear him. I don't believe that she would have done anything either way. Our daughter kept me afloat, though. I put my foot down on her attending gatherings after the badmouthing. My wife accused me of escalating by withholding our daughter. I felt that my father-in-law tried to influence my child against me, and my move was for boundaries. I wasn't asking my wife to cut her dad off. I know how important family is to her, but we're married. We have a child. We made vows. I only wanted her to be there for me as a partner and best friend, but she abandoned me. I had more support from my mother-in-law and sister-in-law than I even did from her. We fought a lot. We were pushed to a new level of argument. I held everything in and we'd blow up. My wife said that she had dealt with her dad her whole life and she learned sometimes it was just better to yield. About a month ago, my name was cleared. My sister-in-law found the iPad in her son, who's 9, room. He confessed to taking it. He was afraid to say anything after my father-in-law's reaction towards me. My father-in-law never apologized or publicly recanted. He acts like nothing happened and the rest of the family followed suit. He had my mother-in-law relay that I was welcome to their home again and others began inviting me to functions. I've declined for myself and my daughter. I'm not holding grudges or using my daughter as punishment. I saw who my father-in-law clearly was. I don't want any involvement with him unless necessary, nor is my daughter allowed to have unsupervised visits with him. I don't want her exposed to the ugliness. The situation remains a sore on my marriage, though. My wife won't talk about it. If I try, she says that I'm throwing the past in her face. I'm just trying to open up to her about how everything still affects me, though. She feels I'm not working toward keeping the peace. My father-in-law falsely accused me of theft. He led a smear campaign, badmouthed me around our daughter, and was enabled by some family. This is me keeping the peace. I don't know if this post is the right call. My wife wouldn't approve, but there's no talking to her about this in any real way. I'm lost. We've never been so disconnected. I'm in love with her, and I wouldn't have stayed if I wasn't. I want to work on our marriage and do the right thing by our daughter. I don't regret my choice on my father-in-law, but I am questioning if I'm making things worse. I feel alone. I need a fresh perspective. How do I move forward as healthily as possible for my marriage when I don't know where to step? OP, that's a tough one because if it were me, honestly, that would be grounds for divorce. Like if anyone ever treated my wife like that, right? Whether family or not, I would absolutely defend her in a heartbeat. And if she wasn't welcome at their house, I wouldn't go to their house without her, right? If she wasn't welcome, I wouldn't go either. So the fact that she just left you high and dry and just let you fend for yourself and didn't say anything when he led that smear campaign and cost you a job which affects your entire family, your wife, and your daughter included. OP, I hope you're happy and I hope it works out for you. But for me, that would have been the end of it. That was Reddit After Hours, bringing you r/relationship advice. Thank you all so much for listening. And if you like these videos, like and subscribe as we post a new Reddit video almost every single day.